it may not sound like much, but when you're in a situation where you're getting assaulted, you want as many people there to help you as you can, and unfortunately civilian clerks don't have the know-how or the ability to respond in that matter. We've already had some outsourcing, is the term that they like to use, instead of privatisation. They think it sounds less scary, or they think they're idiots and we don't know that it means privatisation, one or two. At Long Bay, we've had our perimeter security and boom gates outsourced. Some of you may be able to cast your mind back to an escape that occurred November last year, where there was a little bit of news coverage that suggested that the inmate actually walked straight out the front gate. They walked straight out the front gate past private security guards. Previously, that boom gate and perimeter security had been run by specialised units called Metropolitan Security Unit. Those guys were highly trained. They are your first line of defence and your last line of defence. There's also people coming into the jail that we need to worry about. The guys that we've got there now, their last job could have been checking handbags at Coles. They really just don't have the get-go that we previously had when we had correctional officers there. And that was highlighted with that escape that occurred in November because they were unable to coordinate the emergency response procedures that were in place. So having these private guys on boom gates and perimeter securities, meaning that the community is not as safe. It's actually easier for these guys to get out than it was before. They don't even have guns. So that's kind of the implication there. The big part of the Way Forward reform package, and I'm not sure if they've directly linked it to the Way Forward or not, but it certainly looks like it is, of course, the privatisation of some of our correctional centres. Initially, the announcement was made same time as the mini-budget came out. We have one line referring to corrective services in the mini-budget that said the Way Forward reforms will continue to be implemented. That was it. They announced the same day that Cessnock Correctional Centre, Parkleigh Correctional Centre and the Court Escort Security Unit were going to be privatised. Court Escort Security Unit's a fancy way of saying prisoner transport. Those are the guys in the trucks that some of you may have seen on the roads that make sure that prisoners get to court on time and also move them in between jails. You may wonder why they move between jails. Can be because they've had a change in classification. They might be moving towards the end of their sentence, going to a lower security facility, or they might also have medical needs, so they bring them to Sydney where they're closer to hospitals from more remote country areas. As you know, 1st of May, Cessnock's privatisation, the announcement was made that that's not going to go ahead. So we've got 1 out of 3 so far back in the battle. And we're pretty pleased about that, but we're certainly not fighting any less hard than we were before. We've also been told that we've got 6 months to tell the department how they can save $5 million in court escort security and prisoner transportation services.
They sat right and would will save $5 million.
That would be a good start. It's actually quite a pertinent point that you make too. This man that's in charge of overseeing the Department of Corrective Services is on quite a hefty salary. I'm not exactly sure what it is when you include all of the lurks and perks that he's got, but I'm pretty sure that he actually makes more than the Premier of New South Wales.
If he's like Royal, he wouldn't be under. If he's like Royal, he'd be on at least 250, 300.
I think it's well over that. I believe he's actually the highest paid public service employee in New South Wales.
So what's that current cost of transport services that you've got to save $5 million out?
Sorry?
Do you have to save $5 million out of something that costs $10 million a year or $100 million a year?
I'm not exactly sure what the costs of transport are at the moment, and that's another valid point that we've really been struggling with. Those of you that have followed the prison privatisation or anti-privatisation campaign may be familiar that there was a parliamentary inquiry, and part of the problem that we have got that was identified in the parliamentary inquiry is that nobody seems to know how much anything costs or how they came up with that figure. So there's a lady by the name of Jane Andrew and a man named Damien Carr both academics that have a keen interest in privatisation that spoke at the parliamentary inquiry. The nuts and guts of it is we're not comparing apples with apples. In New South Wales, we currently have one privately run institution, which is a GNE, and that was custom built to be privately run. Some people will argue that they take the cream. Any inmate that has got anything that's going to make them a little bit more expensive to run isn't suitable for GNE. So they'll only take people that don't have court coming up, don't have transportation around the countryside that goes with the court, don't have medical needs that are going to mean medication, and they certainly won't take anyone that's a management problem.
Just get the same questions for
That's a different question.
I don't mind, that's okay. But, yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why we're against the privatisation of prisons, and Minister Robertson seems to think that it's just about our jobs as prison officers. Well, that's not the case at all. I mean, certainly no one wants to go and work for a private company where they're going to be casual, because these private companies do run all their employees as casuals. They have no career development opportunities there. They have a flat frontline base, and they may have one or two managers in those facilities. Yeah, it's not just about our jobs, and it's not just the prison officers that work in prisons. It'd be like saying we're going to privatise an airline and thinking that it only affects the pilot of the plane. It doesn't. There's a lot more people involved. In correctional centres, we also have teachers, we have nurses, we have psychologists, we have... I'm trying to think if I've got everyone. I'm missing someone already, I can tell. I said education, my teachers. Yeah, there's a whole pile of services that are offered there. There's also probation and parole officers that operate out of prison facilities, and we've got what we call overseers, who are people who are trade qualified, and they work in industries areas that provide meaningful work for inmates that helps to give them skills for when they go back out into the community. Public prisons also offer a range of therapeutic programs which helps these guys address their offending behaviour, because the vast majority of them do end up back out in the community. We want them to go back out there a bit better off than when they came in, and we'd like them to stay out in the community and not come back to jail. Private companies around the world have got a track record for not wanting to do this sort of stuff because it costs a lot of money.
That's true.
And often it doesn't show an immediate result. Any studies that are conducted into these sorts of things run over a period of years and years and years. So, yeah, don't want to offer that. So, the outsourcing of prisons is morally wrong. Money's going overseas with these private companies. They've all got appalling track records. If anyone wants to have a look, just Google. Appalling track records. And we'll just move on to